Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Oscar prediction update for the month of August. Now, this video is a little bit late, but in my defense, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be making one. When I made my video on the animated feature race recently, I mentioned that there really wasn't that much to update you guys on, but instead someone commented below, "When's the next Oscar prediction update?" So clearly that's what you guys want. Now, I will say, going over this is probably going to be a very short video because there genuinely isn't that much to update you on, but there are a few things. We are waiting for the fall film festivals. We've gotten a few trailers and we know the lineups of the upcoming festivals, but I think we're sort of, once the festivals happen, then that's going to be our big indicator of what's going to happen in award season. Like, I'm probably not going to do another update video until after the festivals are over. But when that does happen, then there are going to be some big changes. Right now, we're just waiting on a bunch of things to see what's gonna hit and what's gonna miss. And this is sort of our last blind stab in the dark before we get all of that extra information. So, going quickly, looking at the category of Best Casting, not a whole lot has changed, but I have added Rental Family. So this is one that I think is going... I've added to a bunch of categories. It got a trailer recently, and it was one that I kept hearing these rumblings on, and I wasn't entirely sure what to think of it. I think I initially thought it was going to be a non-English language film, and it is going to be in English, judging by the trailer. But I think the big deal with this movie is that this is Fox Searchlight. And Fox Searchlight really only has this film and nothing else. Unless you want to count Bradley Cooper's Is This Thing On. But Searchlight is usually one of the biggest players in any given awards race. And the fact that they only have their sights on this one movie, unless they pick something up at the festivals, which is possible, that seems to imply that they really have a lot of faith in this one, and they think that this one can be big. And even though the reviews hasn't come out yet, the general vibe seems to be that this is going to be a very feel-good film, a la something like Coda or Sing Street, and obviously it worked out much better for one of those movies than the other, but I still have my eye on this as something that can get several nominations in. Sorry it sort of took me a while to come around on this one, but I think I was just skeptical because I didn't know how many international contenders we could have in picture, and now that we know that this doesn't count as international, I feel more secure in predicting this to get in. Also, you will notice The Testament of Anne Lee I have in 10th place. Now, this is a movie, much like Rental Family, that a lot of people were starting to hear buzz about, and I didn't want to fully commit to it right away. To be honest, my reason for hesitating with this one is that I didn't think it would be ready in time, because this is Mona Fastbold and Brady Corbet, the same team behind The Brutalist last year, and usually when you have a big awards contender one year, it takes a while to get the next big awards contender ready. So I sort of thought that this one isn't going to be ready in time, but we now know for a fact that it's going to be playing at the fall film festivals. So I do think, I'm not totally sold that this is a across-the-board contender for picture and director, but I do have it showing up in a few places, as you'll see. Documentary feature, there's not a whole lot to say with this one. I know so little about these films. Other than the top two, which all feel like pretty solid bets, I really don't know what to do in this category. International feature, I also don't think has changed that much. It's the same top six, basically, just moved 4 and 5 around. Sentimental value still feels like it's going to be a top-tier contender, and I think the question is, can either It Was Just an Accident or No Other Choice contend? I think Park Chan-wook was involved in some sort of scandal recently, something involving the writer's strike that people are unhappy about, so I don't know if that's gonna... It might hurt him overall. I think he is probably still going to get the International Feature nomination at least, but I don't know how well the film's going to do outside of that. Animated feature, I made a whole video about this category that you can go and watch, breaking it down in detail. Yeah, and I did ultimately decide to put K-pop at number one. I don't feel super confident about this one at all. I was going back and forth between K-pop and Zootopia and Scarlet. Ultimately, it just makes the most sense right now to put the one that we've all seen and the one that has the most passion right now, but that could change. I find it funny that every single Oscar prediction video I've done, I've had a different winner for animated feature. So there's a good chance I'll have Zootopia 2 in next month. Remember how at the beginning of the year, we all thought Wildwood would be coming out in 2025? If that was still the case, then this would be a much easier conversation to have. That would just be number one on everybody's predictions. But that's not the case. I do have K-pop at number one for now. Sound. Okay, I've moved Sinners back to the number one position, just because I realized it's not winning as many awards as I initially had it perceived, and I was like, well, I can give it sound. I don't really know for sure. Because Avatar, I have Missing Picture currently. A spoiler alert for later. Still not sure about F1, or full disclosure, I have not seen nearly as many movies as I wanted to this year. The past few months have been really, really busy for my personal life, so I haven't had a lot of opportunities to get out and go to the theater. There's a lot of stuff that I still need to see, including F1 and Superman and Weapons. And I'm excited, but also I think last year I kind of just waited until I had screeners for everything, and then I just watched everything at home, and that was easier. I know I'm killing the theatrical window stuff, but I don't know, it's just easier schedule-wise, and that is a practical concern that a lot of Oscar voters do have. So yeah, waiting for that one. I added Testament of Anne Lee at 6 because if it is a contender and it's a musical, then definitely expect it to show up. And A House of Dynamite. This is another one that I'm just eagerly being like, is it something? Is it not something? It's Catherine Bigelow, her big return after Detroit. It's been a long time since she's made a movie, and we're all really, really hoping that this can be good. Original song. I also touched on this category in my animated feature race. I have decided to put Golden in that 5th slot. I know it's tough right now because we have Sinners, we have Diane Warren, we have the 2 Wicked songs, and they all seem like locks. And then the last slot is probably going to Springsteen or Anne Lee. I mean, here's the thing with Springsteen. I've moved that one out of a lot of categories, as you'll see later. We haven't gotten the premiere yet, but I started second-guessing myself. I think I was hedging my bets a little bit by predicting Springsteen to get in everywhere because A Complete Unknown did so well, and that was not a film that I particularly enjoyed, but I was like, well, I guess it's going to happen again. And I think the reason why I don't feel as confident that Springsteen is going to do well, honestly, is the title. If it was just called Deliver Me From Nowhere, I'd be feeling okay, but the fact that they decided to add Springsteen's name to the title relatively last minute, it reminds me of what happened a few years back with Whitney Houston, I Wanna Dance With Somebody, which just showed the studio was not very confident in the film, and they just wanted to put the singer's name in the title to make sure people knew what this was. That it kind of feels similar to me. I am really not excited for this film, and I kind of hope it doesn't do super well, but even if it doesn't, if we do have an original Bruce Springsteen song, he is such a big name that he definitely could be a part of that conversation regardless. And of course, Testament of Anne Lee, if it really is an original musical, could also contend. This is how it really goes to show you how strong the best song lineup is when I look at all of these things: Sinners, Wicked, K-pop, Springsteen, Anne Lee, and I actually started to ask myself, is there even the smallest possibility that this is the year Diane Warren misses? I know, that is a crazy thought to have, but what if the competition is just that strong this year? I don't know. I do think Golden, it is such a giant radio hit that I think it's becoming this mainstream song, and I think the Oscars are really going to respond to that, but I don't know. It'd be a really cool performance at the telecast either way. And I just felt I can't have K-pop winning animated feature if I don't have the song nominated. So I should probably have the song nominated. Best Original Score, really not much to say here. Testament of Anne Lee just missing the top 5. Frankenstein and After the Hunt moved up and down. Oh, this is actually a good time to talk about After the Hunt. I saw the trailer. The trailer looks okay. I'm a little surprised that so many people are super, super convinced that this is a top awards contender. I don't know if I'm really feeling it. I think the whole thing with Luca Guadagnino is last year everyone really, really wanted challengers to happen, and it did not happen. Since Calling by Your Name, he has not made a film that has gotten a single Oscar nomination, and I think a lot of people want him to be a bigger contender than he is, want the Academy to like him better than they do. I think this can get a few nominations, but I don't really know what this movie is doing. It kind of feels this like another Me Too story, which we had She Said a few years ago that didn't get a bunch of nominations, so I don't know if this is going to be seen as that special or that important. Also, Julia Roberts has not done a really good film role in a long time. So I'm not inherently against the idea of this happening, but for whatever reason, I don't see it the same way a lot of other people do. Best Visual Effects. Now, this is kind of funny because it is signed, sealed, and delivered that Avatar is walking away with the win here, but I have absolutely no idea what else is getting nominated. Superman and Fantastic Four, I guess, makes sense. Wicked, I guess, and then Tron is just a question mark. I keep wanting to put in Sinners, but then I'm like, how many nominations can I realistically predict this thing to get? And so I genuinely don't know. The only reason I added in Jurassic World at number 10 is because the VFX artist did a whole video about it, so I'm like, maybe the effects are better than people gave it credit for. I genuinely don't know what to do with this category, except Avatar is going to win, and whoever the other 4 nominees are, prepare to sit down in your seats. We got the trailer. Avatar looks pretty visually spectacular, as it always does. Makeup and hairstyling, not a whole lot has changed here. The top 5 is the same. Testament of Anne Lee, I think, can contend. The Wizard of the Kremlin, this is an interesting one because we have Jude Law playing Putin, and depending on how big of a release this gets, it might potentially be a bigger contender outside of makeup, or it might just be a contender for makeup. We don't really know. It's going to be pretty, I don't want to say amusing, but certainly interesting to see how Russia reacts to this film and what they try to do or how our current president reacts to the film and if he tries to stop it. Okay, Kiss of the Spider Woman also maybe, and everything else I genuinely don't know. Costume design. This is one of the categories where I do have Testament of Anne Lee getting in because the costumes in the promotional photo do look pretty good. And that's kind of all that I have. I've taken out Kiss of the Spider Woman. At this point, I don't think that's going to be a serious contender at all. It seems like people are kind of forgetting about this one. And so, yeah, the top 4 is still the same, and Anne Lee makes sense as the 5th nominee. Production design. Same top 3. Moved around Hamlet and Avatar. See, this is why I wasn't sure if I even wanted to make this video, because it's a lot of, this is the same, this is the same. Did I change anything? Oh, I don't even know why I added the Venetian scheme. It's not getting nominated. Mighty Supreme, I guess. Yeah. By the way, the way that I make these videos is I don't really look back at my old Oscar prediction videos. I just take a bunch of the data and try to do it entirely from scratch. And usually, by sheer coincidence, I don't move anything around. Because my opinion on the matter really hasn't changed, even if I can't remember the exact order I had things in before, I don't tend to change things that much, unless I have really good reason to change things. Cinematography. Ooh, I did change something here. I have Testament of Anne Lee getting in instead of Marty Supreme, which I had on last month. I don't know. I think I was just really taken by those images. Maybe. Although I also heard that Train Dreams might be a surprisingly strong lone cinematography nominee. We'll have to see how well that particular film does. Editing, not much has changed here. I have Hamlet in here, and I didn't before, in number 7. I'm hearing some people don't have a lot of faith in that particular movie, but having read the book and having done a video on the book, I really, really think that Hamlet is going to be a top contender, potentially in a lot of categories. So, yeah, I believe I just had it winning cinematography. So, fingers crossed that people are proven wrong and Hamlet is a very, very big deal. Adapted screenplay. So, I think no other choice. I have it getting this one as well as international. Those are the two I have it getting in. And I've added Wake Up Dead Man. I was reluctant to do this for a long time, but over the past few months, it's become very evident to me that this category is weak. There's just not a lot of strong players. And so it feels bad. I guess why not? Just put that in. I'm surprised. I don't exactly know what Nirvana, the band that showed the movie, is, but I hear it's kind of a Borat situation where it's very, very comedic and farcical. Sorry, and maybe it could contend just on that. I don't know. I think adapted screenplay is shaping up to be much, much weaker than original this year. And speaking of original, I've added Rental Family. This is one of the categories that I think it can get into. Top 4 is the same. But definitely looking out for It Was Just an Accident. If that does do well in other categories, can it get into original screenplay as well? Yeah, I don't know. Supporting actor, I don't think I've changed anything. I got rid of, who is it? Was it, the guy from Jeffrey Wright. I got rid of Jeffrey Wright for highest to lowest. I'm still really looking forward to seeing that movie, but from everything I'm hearing, it's just not going to be an awards contender, which is a shame because I really wanted it to be. I've added Emoto for Rental Family. I don't know how well the actors in that movie are going to do. We're just going to have to wait and see that one. Supporting actor, I think, is going to be very, very close between Skarsgård and Sandler. Supporting actress, again, not much has changed. Ooh, I do have Fanning and Lilius both getting in for sentimental value. Most years, we do tend to get one film to get the double dips in a supporting acting category. And we didn't get one last year, but I think it can happen this year for sentimental value. And much like Emoto, I've also added Yamamoto for Rental Family, which I think is very possible. There were a few things I considered. I did consider Thomasin McKenzie for Anne Lee, because I hear she's got a supporting role in that, and I hope it's a good one. I've loved her ever since Leave No Trace, and I really hope she gets a really juicy role in that film, but I don't know if she will. Lead actor, okay, this is actually a change. I've decided to put Clooney at number 1 for J. Kelly and Chalamet down to number 2. Last year, when I talked about Chalamet for Complete Unknown, I was like, he's too young, they're going to make him wait for it just like DiCaprio. So I don't think it would be fair to give Chalamet the Oscar the very next year. Clooney, on the other hand, he is a previous winner, but never in lead, and he is making a bit of a comeback with this film. So, it's ironic because before the trailer came out, there was some discussion of, is George Clooney basically playing himself in this film? And then we got the trailer, and it turns out that issue is acknowledged in the movie itself, which I do think is going to actually boost his chances a little bit. So I do think Clooney could potentially win for this. And I also have Frasier getting nominated. And also, it is so funny to me that I have Dwayne Johnson ranked above Daniel Day-Lewis in acting for anything. Like, that should never happen. But I don't know, I've always had this weird feeling about Anemone because I feel like it's just going to be this deeply personal thing that most people aren't really going to get. And Dwayne Johnson, at least, is going to have a pretty significant presence. I think both of them are going to have a presence throughout the season, but I don't think either of them are going to be able to go the distance. Best Actress, this is another change I've made. I have Amanda Seyfried getting in for Testament of Anne Lee. I've taken out Jennifer Lawrence because I don't know how well that movie is going to do outside of her. I think Seyfried's film might be better liked overall. And here's the thing with Seyfried, too. It's well documented at this point that Seyfried was the runner-up for the role of Glinda in Wicked, and she really, really campaigned hard for that role. And since she didn't get it, the fact that she is now starring in this big, extravagant movie musical is sort of like her take that at Hollywood in a weird way. And I think that narrative might potentially help her get a boost in terms of getting nomination for the role. Outside of that, not a whole lot. I've added Sydney Sweeney for Christie. And Best Director. Okay, this is still the same top 5. A few different names, Guadagnino and Fastful could contend, but I'm waiting to see how well their films do overall. And Best Picture. Yeah, again, very, very short video. I'm looking 20 minutes, a lot longer than I thought I'd been talking, to be honest. So I still have Sinners at number 1. And I feel mostly pretty confident with that. At least in terms of what's been seen so far, I don't think there's anything that rivals Sinners, but we are all looking to the Fall Film Festival. And if something comes up that is just big and undeniable and people are like, whoa, this could win, then I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. We're waiting to see Begonia and Jay Kelly and Hamnet and Rental Family, and maybe some of these are people are just going to love them, and people are going to be like, oh, this is your next Best Picture winner. At the moment, I'm kind of just going with the Everything Everywhere strategy of this movie premiered at the beginning, and people just had it as a placeholder, and then nothing came along in the Fall Film Festivals or afterwards that really challenged it. So I do think Sinners could go the distance. It is interesting, though, because 2025 has proven to be a very, very strong year for horror films, with movies like 28 Years Later and Together, and the Weapons, which just came out that I still haven't seen yet, but I've heard very, very strong things about it, and I've heard some people be like, oh, this is the real best original horror movie of the year, which I don't think there's a world in which Weapons ends up as an awards contender at the end of the year, but I do think there's a world in which Weapons ends up taking votes away from Sinners, and people are like, oh, Sinners isn't really the best horror movie. If people try to pit the movies against each other, it could end up backfiring on Sinners. But as of right now, I don't think that's going to happen. As of right now, it's tough. It's really, really tough. And I still have It Was Just an Accident getting into picture with just director and international, missing screenplay, unfortunately. But this is a really, really tough category. This is a really tough year. And I don't know what's going to contend for picture. Again, this is all just a big blind shot in the dark before the Fall Film Festival start, and then we're going to have so much information. The next Oscar prediction update I do, there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.